bug hole. Very nice.
Alright guys, another tabletop review here. This one is of the Falkor Defense Mantis Bipod. Now at the time of purchasing the bipod, and again at the time of making this video, there wasn't a whole lot of information on the Mantis Bipod. I've seen a few videos out there on YouTube from SHOT Show 2016 where at the Falkor Defense booth they are demoing the bipod, but again not a whole lot of detailed information on the product itself. Now as far as price goes, these retail for about $285 and you can buy them directly from Falkor Defense's website. I had seen the bipod again in a few videos, and even on Falkor Defense's website there's not a whole lot of specs on it. But hopefully this YouTube video will help you guys, and like if you were like me and contemplating the purchase or upgrade on a bipod, hopefully this video gives you a little bit more information to make that decision. Let's go ahead and go over some specs on the Mantis Bipod itself. Now this is advertised to weigh in at 1 pound. Now I don't know how accurate my scale is, but at least on my scale it registered at 1 pound 3 ounces. What did come in at a pound was my Harris Bipod. This is a 6-9 model with the American Defense or ADM Picatinny quick detach mount for the bipod. Again, I don't know how accurate my scale is, but they were about a 3 ounce difference. So for those of you out there who really count those ounces, because we do know those add up quickly, because oh man, I have some heavy stuff out there. But you know, that could be of concern for you as far as weight of the bipod. So again, it's advertised at 1 pound, and we'll just kind of go off that because that is what Falkor Defense advertises. Now the leg length is 6.5 inches roughly, collapsed, and extended we're looking at about 8.5 inches. Now I know that looks like more than 2 inches, and it is, but fully collapsed, the inner bipod leg still protrudes from the outer bipod shell. So they are able to swivel 180 degrees, as you can see here, with 5 different positions. So you have fully forward, you have an angled position, straight down, another rearward angled position, and then fully rearward. So the adjustments are very, very smooth. If you keep it depressed, or I should say if you apply pressure downward towards the feet of the bipod, you can see how smoothly that moves, and then just let it go when you reach a notch, like so. The adjustments on the inner legs to extend the length of the bipod legs is very, very simple. It's under quite a bit more spring tension than I thought it was going to be, but you can feel those click and ratchet, and the teeth on those are very, very fine, so you can really fine-tune the bipod to your specific needs. So whatever height you need out of your bipod legs, you're given quite a bit of adjustment there. And the nice thing is the retracting function. So you just press that inward. So you can see I just pressed it down there. It's spring loaded and quickly retracts the inner bipod legs. Very nice, very smooth feature there. You also have these removable bipod feet. Now I obviously wouldn't suggest removing them because they are an essential part of the bipod itself. But it leads me to believe that hopefully Falkor Defense at some point will release different bipod feet. I don't know if there's other bipods out there and these are compatible, or this bipod is compatible with those aftermarket feet. I don't know that, but maybe someday they'll come out with some steel ones or some spikes or those feet with the claws on them. So we'll see if that happens. If you're worried about these coming loose, because to be honest it doesn't take much to loosen them, you can obviously use some thread locker in there to keep them from coming loose on their own. I don't think it's going to be a huge issue though. Now this bipod does feature these large levers here. They're almost too large, I think. So that could be a concern to some of you out there, that these may snag on objects. They look like they would almost work with the same lever that you can buy to put on the back of the Harris bipods. They look almost identical, like they were even made by the same same company. So they may fit. I have not verified that, but that's something you can play with. I'm going to go ahead and give these a try because I like the length for the leverage. Gives you plenty of leverage to really lock these down. One nice thing about these levers, if you didn't know, and that applies for these levers on the Harris bipod, is once you find a position you like, you can actually pull rearward towards you and change the positioning of the lever. So that didn't change the tension at all, but you can move that to any position that you want. Probably not there, that probably wouldn't work, but yeah, and that's the same with this lever below. So if you are having to hike around and that lever sticking out, or either of the levers is sticking out and you want it out of the way, you can move the lever by pulling back, and it's spring loaded, and you can find a different notch for the lever to stay in. But this bottom one controls the ability to cant the rifle. So right there obviously is really loose, and then you can tighten it down to create a lot more tension there. Now this top one is awesome. This is the one I really like, this feature. This controls the pan. So this one, by loosening it, you can pan back and forth. So if you have these bipod legs deployed and you need to track a target or lead one or follow, or you're doing a multiple target engagement, this makes it really nice because you don't have to move the bipod feet. The bipod can stay planted, and then you can pan left and right. Looks like it's roughly, I don't know, maybe about 45 degrees in either direction. So I really like that feature, and then of course you can tighten it down to where you can virtually eliminate the ability to pan. One thing that is noticeably different on this bipod over the Harris is the span here between the feet. Once deployed, this is about 9.5 inches, and the Harris bipod I think is about 7 inches. So quite a bit difference there. So if it is on a heavy rifle, sometimes you get those rifles that seem a little top heavy and want to tip. You know, a gust of wind or somebody sneezes and it just seems like it's enough to topple your rifle over. This is nice because of that span, and I'm really not worried about that with my current chassis and this current bipod. It seems solidly planted and it's not going anywhere. Now as far as installation goes, that's pretty straightforward, pretty simple. You will need some sort of Allen wrench, or in this case I have a T-handle hex key. This one is 5/32, and you would just put this on a Picatinny rail. So if you have just one of those traditional sling swivel studs that like a Harris bipod would basically mount to, you would need to buy some sort of Picatinny rail adapter or have one installed on your rifle stock. For mine, I have a KRG chassis, and then the fore end has a Picatinny rail section on it, so this installs really easily and nicely on there. All you do is put it on where you would like it, tighten those screws, and you are done. Simple as that. Now as far as some of my opinions on this bipod, I really bought this bipod to replace my Harris. There's nothing wrong with this Harris bipod. I've shot some amazing groups with it and was able to shoot some serious long range using this bipod, and it has served me very, very well. I've owned this probably for about 8 years. It was a gift from my wife several years ago for Christmas, and I think I'll end up keeping it because it's just been a really great bipod overall. Now what the Harris lacks is some of the features that some of your more modern bipods, or newer bipods maybe I should say, are able to provide you with, and some of that is the different positioning of the legs, and of course a pan feature. Now obviously there are adapters out there for panning that you can buy that will give you that ability to pan for the Harris bipod, but this is just kind of built in and comes standard. Really kind of what sold me on this was that quick adjustment of the bipod leg length, and then being able to immediately retract your legs by a push of a button. And then of course being able to change the angle of the legs. For some of you that want to get even lower, and perhaps the 6.5 inches here is too much, then you're able to put it at an angle and that'll drop you a little bit lower. Other people like to load the bipod that way. They feel like it kind of digs in better. You know, it's really up to you. I've had no issue loading bipods like this, or even the Harris bipod was very effective at loading. But overall, this thing is built really well in my opinion, and it's just unique looking, the designs and the cuts like that. And I think Falkor is coming out with some pretty sweet products for a multitude of firearms, and of course making their own firearms as well. Now, one concern that I do have, and it's not a huge deal breaker but could be one for you, is that there is no quick detach feature. I would have thought for the price I was paying that would have been something that would have come with this bipod. You know, the Harris I like so much because I have that ADM mount, and what it does is allow me to put that on virtually any of my rifles that needs a bipod. And so some of them that do not have a dedicated bipod, it's nice to only bring one, and I can put it on 2 or 3 rifles if I'm having to sight those all in at the same time. With this is kind of going to be a dedicated bipod for my 308 Winchester rifle. And that's okay. I still wanted an upgraded bipod for that one, but it would have been nice to be able to quickly detach this bipod and throw it on another rifle. Now hopefully Falkor will come out with something like a different clamping plate here that will have a hinged or a quick detach lever on it, or maybe replace this entire block above. Hopefully they don't come out with like the Mantis Bipod version 2, because then I'll have to buy that one. Hopefully it's something that can be done to the existing bipod you have, and then just simply replace that part with a quick detach part. So again, time will tell how long or how well this holds up over use. The Harris has lasted me 8 years of a lot of shooting on a lot of different guns, different platforms. So again, we'll see how well this one holds up, but it seems really well made and really well thought out. If you guys have any specific questions about the bipod and information I didn't cover, go ahead and comment below, and I'll try to get back to you as soon as possible on that information. Hope that this was informative to some degree to you. Thanks for watching.